guys, this is probably the last chance to grab snacks before the start. It's perfectly fine to eat while you listen, unless you are chewing too loud and nobody else can hear anything around you. Help yourself, please. People who were not able to come due to enormously strong wind today. We will be recording it and send it also to the live stream. So if you guys can hear us on the remote, welcome. That's a nice spot. I like it.
Oh, please do.
Alright guys, so let's start, and let me first introduce myself to you. So I'm I'm managing the retail vertical here in SoftServe. So we work on many different projects for retail customers, and one of our probably newest direction is robotics. So we're trying to explore this area and see if we can help our existing customers with robotics, or maybe I don't know, think about some our internal products we can develop, or maybe help our future customers. So, but just to say a few words about the SoftServe, the majority of our business is software development. But we realize that it's probably the best time to get to the physical world out of the digital world, not only the digital, and that's our probably presentation. This is the second presentation over the last 7 months, I guess. Last time we met here at the end of June, and we brought the robot booter last time as well, but this time it's totally different. Inside it's all new, like it's brand new equipment and hardware inside. And I will start with the more business overview of the robotics, and I will try to give you some of the mindset which we use to understand how to approach robotics, right? Because there are many different ways how it goes there. And there are many different presentations you've probably seen before, which explains which company does what. I decided to make it a little bit more original and give you part of my mindset around the robotics, right? So hopefully it will give you some paradigm shifts, or maybe at least some good ideas around that. So let's start. So we will start with a couple of the main goals of automation in retail, how we see it. And we were lucky to have existing retail customers, which we create software for them. So when we started robotics, we decided, okay, what's the best way to understand what their needs? And if somebody is smart enough, say, why don't we go and ask, right? That worked perfectly. So we went to a couple of our retailers and we asked, okay, what do you guys do? What are the challenges you have in a physical world where robots are always helpful? Because definition of robots, who knows the definition of robots according to ICC? Anybody can mention it? I'm not that smart. I just went and Googled, right? So for some reason, the official definition says, and Google is correct me if I'm wrong, but it says that the robot should be mobile in 3 dimensions. It's X, Y, and Z. So which doesn't make sense to me, because if robot navigates on the surface, then there is no I don't know, if it's flat surface, there is no third axis, right? But that's still the robot, but that's the definition. And I guess this is something that we will cover later on by explaining many different conflicts around the definitions, around the standards, because this is an evolving area. And pretty much the people who work in this area are pioneers in some sense, who will define these definitions, these standards going forward. But the 3 main, let's say, goals in retail, how we see it for robotics, is saving the labor cost. This is the most obvious, and probably saving people from doing boring stuff, right? If you can free some time from these people and they can think about what can you do next, But that's like out of the scope of this presentation. We've not covered the, let's say, morality of robotics, at least in the first half, right? And then improve productivity and making the experience of the customers better. These three which were named by the customers we have, and pretty much the same like in internet, you can find in majority of the surveys and articles. But then there is another, let's say, unknown in this equation is a combination of digital and physical worlds, right? So we have AI to cover, let's say, digital world, and we have robotics to cover the physical world. And we strongly believe that these two should go in pair, in a combination, because if you concentrate just on the hardware part, right, then you might end up with troubles, because the digital part, the AI, like computer vision, is a very important piece of this work as well. You can see sometimes the cases when the robot is just very, I don't know, basic, stupid hardware machine, let's say, right? And all the calculations are being done like in a big server on the graphic cards, right, somewhere else. So we believe that they all should go in parallel and comprehend and each other. And I really like this. Who knows what is on the left side? It's from Microsoft. Microsoft created this pad, which allows you to place different objects on this pad, and the pad recognizes what this object is and place it to the digital world. So in other words, you can, they want to use it for games, I guess. This is my assumption. They created a patent recently, and they want, people to buy an Xbox game, for instance, and then start buying the physical stuff as well and placing it in the digital world. And that's how they want, to improve the imagination by combining these two worlds. And we strongly believe that this is the future. And Lubomir will explain later on how Wouter, our robot, also navigates in the physical world, but at the same time how he navigates in the digital world. And I guess you guys who create this surface cleaning robots, you guys have the same probably things. And if you talk about the physical store automation, right? So for them, interaction with customers is probably priority number one, right? And that's why they concentrate on the things like personal assistants, robots which do some retail point optimization, self-checkout, inventory management, and in some sense, for instance, self-checkout robot, right? It could be a very simple machine, but it could be a more advanced machine. And even though it doesn't move in 3 axis, it still could be a robot, right? In some sense. And there are a couple of things which are being developed now. Not I would not say it's very production ready, but some of the things like planogram optimization, where the robot goes through the store in an eye and make it 3D planogram, and then decide which are the problematic spots which needs to be fixed, right? That's one of the things to eliminate this labor cost as well in the physical stores. This robot tech surveyor, I like it because the majority of our customers, they mentioned 2 most important problems in general, not apart from robotics in retail. Who can guess this 2? Which are the biggest challenges they were facing?
Inventory control.
Inventory, right, yeah, you're right, guys. So nobody knows for sure in real time where all our stuff is. How many SKUs we have in the store, in our warehouse, flying to our customers, flying back from our customers as a return, right? So this is the biggest problem. And this tech surveyor is about one of the companies to scan the, barcodes of the products, right? But the challenges here are enormous. You need to make sure that every box has this tag, right? And in the right place, and it's not it's visible to the cameras. That's hard. RFID is another approach, but it's expensive. So for instance, we have a company which sells buttons, right? This is one of our customers. This is actually a customer of our customers. And they say if you put the RFID even on a box of buttons, that doesn't make sense because it's twice more expensive than the box of buttons, and that's the issue. So barcodes for them is easier, but then how would you put the barcode on each of the, I don't know, box with the buttons and make sure that this machine can scan them if they stack like in many, I don't know, dimensions? That doesn't help a lot. But yeah, at least there are like some robots which can do some of the basic for now stuff, right, in this direction. In e-commerce, the situation is a little bit different because there is not too much physical interaction with the customer in e-commerce, right? And the things like logistics, supply, warehouse optimization, and fulfillment and inventory management is probably the most important for them. And also, second biggest challenge for retailers, according to our studies, is the last mile delivery. We discussed it before we start, right? So that's absolutely important. Why it is important? Who knows? You go to this, so you can talk about answer.
Well, cost for one thing, it tends to account for more than 50% of the cost.
Exactly. So, like, if you talk about, like, for instance, sending, I don't know, iPhone from US to China and from China to US. So from China to US, how do you think, what's the cost of sending the phone here? Like
$1.
It is, yeah, almost $1. It's 80 cents, actually, right? And the reason for that is because according to the post-mail regulations, international post-mail regulation, the country which sends the postage gets all the money for it, right? So China never pays for last mile delivery in US, which is the most expensive part, right? And in US, sending from one street to the same street, to this, like to the house to the same street, costs like at least $8, right? Which is 10 times more than sending from different country, from different side of the world. So that's why, of course, last mile delivery is very important for these companies. Yeah.
So you are aware that the U.S. is potentially pulling out of that?
I know there are some conversation which might impact actually the last mile delivery development products as well. Yeah, that's true. But for now, this is the case. And if you talk about like it will probably help retailers to be more competitive versus China, but it will not solve the problem of last mile delivery inside the US anyway. So that's still the problem. So we have a couple of customers who dream to create their own marketplaces because they already have access to many different small retailers and they want to aggregate them and create marketplaces. But the only thing which stops them is when they calculate the last mile deliveries, they say no. This business will never run. We will never be able to compete against Amazon right now. So that's why this company, if we deliver them a robotics solution which will be able to easily cover this piece, that's probably some of the game changer for this company. And for the bigger one as well, that's absolutely. This example is just like, I know that we have a very mature audience here, but I will just show it anyways. This is my favorite implementation of warehouse optimization these days. Who knows what the company is? Okada, yeah.
UK is 20% of the online.
Yeah, that's amazing how they were able to do it efficiently. Because when you look at the Amazon, like who knows how Amazon works? Like warehouse, what's the optimization of
Fully random.
Fully random, yeah, that's true. But how, like, what's the flow of of warehouse operations in Amazon? Who knows? Like how it works? Like, I mean, okay, I'll tell you. Like Amazon, so what they did is they have this, they bought this robotics company, Kiva, right? Which like pretty small robots. I guess I have them somewhere on the slides as well. But the idea there is they bring, actually, this is it, yeah. So they pick up the, I don't know, the stand, the shelf, and bring it to the person, to the human, who actually brings the item from this shelf and put it into the order box, right? Which is some kind of like helps them to optimize the expenses by 20%, but it's, from my perspective, it's just the very beginning of the optimization, which they can do, because the majority of the problem is not yet solved, and yeah, it's random. I agree with you.
Well, they were replacing the warehouse, they found it fully random. But they're also, they treat their workers like robots. That's why they get that.
yes, despite they claim, like, I don't know, that we want to let our people stay, even when it will be fully automated, I don't believe it's possible. I don't see the way how they can do this, but yeah, that's at least what they claim. They can claim it for now, at least. But the idea, which I want to share with you is, and I want just to take one of the use cases in robotics, right? And I just want to share our mindset, our brainstorming, and the vision how we should approach this problematics, right? So if you take a look on the, let's imagine that it's Amazon, right? They have production somewhere, they order or get items from production to their warehouses, and then they have the order fulfillment, and then finally delivery, right? So if you look at this problem, right? So how we believe it will be automated, right? The phase number one will be automating it as is. And this is what's going on right now in the world, right? The company like Amazon took a look at their process and their flow, and they decided, okay, if we automate this piece and do not let our employees to go and run across the warehouse for specific items and let robots to bring the specific items, then this is the first step in the automation, right? But that's pretty much automating the flow or the process as is, right? We do not change the process itself, pretty much. And if you look at the let's say production, the robots were there for years, right? So all like the robo arms and the automated lines, the production lines, they've been there for years, right? And if you look at this flow from left to the right, right? What could you say about this flow? From the left to the right, is it like getting more complicated? Is it getting easier to the right side?
Getting closer to the customer.
It's getting close to the customer, but also the complexity and uncertainty is growing. So if you take a look on the production, uncertainty there is almost zero. You get exactly known size of items. You need to put it exactly at known surface, and you need to connect it using exactly the same method all the time. Uncertainty is just zero. It's all like drawings. It's like not totally zero. You can always get some deviations in different parts, but it's also known for them. They are expecting these deviations. You can calculate this deviation. But in a nutshell, the production part is very easy to automate, and that's why it was automated earlier. But then, if you take a look on the warehouse, you get a little bit more complexity, a little bit more uncertainty, but at the same time, think about it this way. If I'm in Amazon, I can build the warehouse how I want it to build, right? I don't need to rent warehouse. I just go ahead and build the square warehouse with ideally flat surface, with the lighting inside, which is exactly the same in all of my warehouses, and I can create exactly the same layout in all of my warehouses, right? So I can control this uncertainty, and by controlling the uncertainty, I can make sure that automation and implementation of robotics for the warehouse which I own and fully control is easier, right? So versus if we go to the last mile delivery, for instance, and talk about self-driving devices, mobile robots, right? Then uncertainty there is enormously high, right? Because I will tell you the example. So we created this smart parking solution which we discussed last time, right? And we have a camera at the top of our HQ in Europe, which pointed to the parking lot, and it captures the image, and computer vision algorithm helps us to understand how many spots are free on the parking, right? So this is a pure AI problem, right? But then we implemented it in production in the summer, then in autumn, everything was fine, but then at some point of time we came at the, I don't know, it was from 27th of November, and it doesn't work. Can you guess the reason? Snow, yeah, it's just snowfall, and our machine learning model didn't work with the snow conditions. So we had to shut down the parking solution for a couple of days, retrain the model, and turn it back again, right? And if you think about the last mile delivery, which is on the right side of this flow, then this uncertainty is and absence of control, because you cannot control and say, listen, Austin government, go ahead and do all the snow because my last mile delivery robot cannot deliver because the computer vision doesn't work. This doesn't happen. You cannot control it. But in the case of production or warehouse, you can do this. You somehow can manage to not have snow on your Amazon warehouse. That's easy piece. I guess I can cope with that. And that's why we believe that the automation and robotics also goes in this direction, from production to warehouses to order fulfillment to last mile delivery in this order, simply because the uncertainty and absence of control do not allow you to create very feasible, very cool solution from the very beginning on the right side. And it's just a matter of time when they will be created. It doesn't mean people do not work on it. They do, right? It's just that, like, on the left side, it also like already exists for many, many years, right? And on the right side, it will exist in a very production-ready, very good shape, like soon, but like later than like warehouse optimization. Any questions here? All good? Moving forward. I know you have some comments about because you work on the last mile delivery, right?
So, are you familiar with ground penetrating radar?
Which one?
Ground penetrating radar that actually, in snow conditions, allows you to know where you're at.
By the navigating there. Yeah, it's, I mean, like the devices, you can use, like, I don't know, you can use LiDAR, you can use GPS, you can use many different sensors. But what I'm trying to say is that uncertainties there will be still a lot, right? And you can create a robot, but believe me, at 27th of November, you will be surprised that your model or your algorithm doesn't work. And that will happen for these companies a lot. And that's the big challenge for them, right? And
There's infrastructure to unstructured environments. Or you go from structured to unstructured to higher capacity.
correct, yeah, correct. And also, like, think about it this way. Like, for instance, in US, if you go to the road, every road has very nice marks, and you have like reflectors, all good. If you go to Europe, like even in Spain, I don't know, road surface is still okay, but then I don't know, Spanish workers do not put the I don't know, paint everywhere, and you're all going to just be screwed there. And if you go to I don't know, to Ukraine, it's even worse. So you better start in the US to work on the things. But the phase two, how we see it, is actually changing the process, changing the flow. So for instance, in this flow here, you have warehouse and order fulfillment. So why don't you work on the flow which just goes from production straight to delivery? Nothing stops you from this one, absolutely. And that's what we believe will be the step number 4, phase number 2 in retail world, to actually optimize the flow itself, to eliminate unnecessary steps. Right now they don't do this because like creating the automation as for the process as is the way to actually get the technology to the level of maturity when you can actually make sure that you can just skip some of the steps. And it's easier because it's just eventual development of their business. They cannot just shut down Amazon and say, listen, we shut down for 2 years and you'll figure out the new flow. That will not happen. And the phase number 3, we can guess what the phase number 3 could be. Once we automated the process as is, once we removed all the unnecessary steps there, what else can we do? 3D printers, yeah, that's cool. So basically we just decrease the distances. This is how I see it. So instead of like shipping the item from China, we can like start creating the factories like 3D printers to create some. You cannot create everything on the 3D printers, obviously, right? But some of the essential things, even if you will start creating like 10% of the things in a small mobile factories next to each major city in US, for instance, that will be decreasing the distances and the costs as well, and increasing the efficiency. It will impact everything. So this is the phase number 3. And beyond that, I don't know if anybody can suggest anything other than phase number 4 is to convince people that they don't need any stuff, any excuse. That will be phase number 4. But before that, this will be probably the majority of what they can do. Any questions here? Any comments? Because this is slippery slope. I mean, like you can object. That's theory. Okay.
So there's another space in between which is focused on more localized warehouses having the stuff like, for instance,
Like Amazon Prime, right? And they have the smaller warehouses next to each big city, like to just expedite the delivery of essential things, right? Yeah, absolutely. That's a part of it. Yeah, but that will be probably the phase number 2 part of it, because instead of having the big ones, they can start shipping from the small one. But that will be supported by the demand prediction algorithms. If they can predict demand more accurately, they can start shipping to the smaller warehouses instead of having the centralized big locations.
I kind of think of it as it's not really so much distance as it's effort, right? You want to decrease effort, because something could be a mile away, but it's across the river, and there's no bridges, and it doesn't really matter, right? So it's really a measure of how much effort does it take, how much energy you have to put into a package from point A to your house at point B, right?
Right.
And autonomous, when they looked at multi-rotors, which is its own thing, we're like, I can push a button, the thing just does, and then it comes back, and it's very low key to a turnaround, right?
Right.
So it's a lot of this kind of how do we decrease the effort in any given step to their absolute energy, activation energy, right? To get everything achieved.
Right, and you're absolutely right. And the reason why I call this distances, in my mind, distance is a function of.
Well, they're highly correlated.
Yeah, I'm a mathematician in my mind, so distance is the function. It's not always like the geographical distance. It could be the distance of me convincing you in something is also distance, and I can take the short path, by providing you with the arguments you want to hear, or I can go around, and this will be the longer distance. So for me, distance is exactly what I say, this efforts, right? Cool. And the last one, I guess the phase number 4, and which is probably a little bit futuristic concept, but if you heard about it as a physical cloud. I'm a big supporter of this idea because think about it this way. Once you automate the production, the warehouses, delivery, order fulfillment, right, and you can access it as a service, right, we can start talking about the physical cloud. Pretty much the same way how people now store files, emails in the digital cloud, right? In the same way you will be able to, I don't know, using the APIs or requests or whatever, request somebody to deliver you some materials to the factory and then ask this factory using APIs to create some items using AutoCAD drawings, wherever, and then deliver it somewhere. So this becomes a cloud. You don't have to be physically anywhere. You can use this cloud and connection in this cloud and the services in this cloud to actually operate in the physical world the same way how digital clouds these days operate in the digital world. And you can connect, I don't know, Google Drive to some BI tools, and then to automatic email sending tool, and so on and so forth. This will be exactly the same. So I know I overrun a little bit, yeah, so Ludmila is ready for
Can
his.
you, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
give one concrete example of what that means?
So yeah, absolutely. So basically, think about it this way. So for instance, today, if you want to create if you want to get PCB, or if you want to get anything, any item, you can go ahead and buy it. But if it doesn't exist, right? So what would you do? You have to make it, right? And in order to make it, what do you need to do? You need to create a drawing, you need to order material somewhere, you need to find somebody who can do it. So right now, it's a long process. The same way how 20 years ago, to send, 100 megabyte file over the internet was a problem. And you had to send somebody with a hard drive or, with a stack of floppy disks, right? The same way, physical cloud will help you to decrease the distances and decrease the efforts, right?
You're describing local manufacturing, is that what you're describing?
It doesn't matter. Listen, if for instance, delivery is automated, fully automated, right? Then you can request even the huge amount of materials to be delivered from China to US, to the factory which can convert these materials to product using your drawings from AutoCAD. and then automated delivery can then deliver it to the place you want, right? This will allow you to create the retail businesses like just sitting on your couch, like never leaving your house. These days, today it's not possible, simply because you need to go and open an account and bank, but even this is possible from the internet these days. So yeah, I mean, like it's all will be exactly the same as the digital cloud these days, but it will be physical cloud. So that's what
Wait, isn't it what Fulfilled by Amazon already is?
Like
I've noticed like a whole bunch of Fulfilled by Amazon members, they aren't even making them. There's like one company like a couple years ago I looked at that they were doing LED lights. And I noticed that like I did some research about it because I wanted to get LED lights, right? And I did some research and I basically found out that for sure they don't have any office in the US. Nothing.
Right, but this is a good part, and this is a good example to be a part of the physical cloud, right? But think about it this way: like if you want to create some items from the material you want to use, right? Then that like Amazon Fulfillment can help you to actually put it in the marketplace and deliver to your customers, right? And it covers some of the shipping, which is not fully automated. A lot of human labor there as well, and pretty positive. You need to send some emails, make some calls. It's not yet fully automated. You cannot run 10 APIs and get the result done, right? And of course, you cannot manufacture things using Amazon Fulfillment. It doesn't work with that, right? But this is a good example of, this will be a part of it, right? The Amazon Fulfillment is a logical version of what I'm telling. If you connect the manufacturing piece here, that will be it.
But what you basically do is like contract manufacturing in China, and then the people from China, they ship it directly to Amazon.
That's right.
And you base yourself like somewhere like Latin America, and you
That's right.
have to visit either China or the US.
That's right.
Integrating with those CMs is a nightmare, let me tell you. It's
But-
not a pleasant experience to have to deal with when you go to the CM in the first place.
Right, and that's why you're going to China like
I go
4 times a year. Because these days it's not automated to the point, and you can just make an API call and it happens. You
It's
see what I
a
mean?
lot of effort, and we would not do it if it weren't so cheap, frankly. It's so much effort on just communicating, that it wouldn't be worth it if not for the labor cost savings.
Yeah, eliminating communication from this will help a lot. So yeah, that's it from my side, and I'm passing to Rudolf. And we probably, just to let you realize from the slides, we will show the booter, how to navigate. And we specifically didn't close the rear panel on the booter, so you can take a look inside what's there. It's autonomous robot. I guess Uber, you want to comment?
Yeah, so I really have a lot of definitions, but as for me, autonomous robots is robots that can operate without human interaction. So if there is some process that you want to automate, and you don't need a human to interact while the robot is performing some tasks, so it is autonomous robot. Was like 10 years ago or 20 years ago, if you had a factory and it was semi-autonomous process when the robot could drill a hole in some piece of wood, but then a human had to remove this thing from where it was drilled and put another piece to drill a hole. So this was
Just realized on my laptop it's T-Mobile at SoftServe.com.
Yeah, for me, I would think that's autonomous, like, they don't be central error communication, they can be in front and forward communication. Without using it all, other robots, without master robot to involve them.
hands, like robotic hands.
Hands.
Oh, I see.
Well, it's masterless versus kind of master-slave architecture, and there are different reasons for each architecture application.
What?
So like when you're in a warehouse, for instance, a lot of warehouses do master-slave, they have like a warehouse operating system.
API, if you think about this critical cloud, right, this will be a good like usage for this cloud. So think about like robot can request like the part, replacing for the part to be delivered to this cloud. This will be cool. These days, like robot will not be able to communicate with Chinese guys to send the item, right? It's
For me, this cloud was kind of, I open some application and some IoT device, I designed it, I want it, there's a button, then I have to write some code for it. In an hour or in a day, I get this device, design it as I want it, and I can deploy the software there, explain the keywords, and design something, keywords, just deliver it fast. So, if you think it's somewhere, or solver it somewhere else, I just set the device and design it.
Exactly, that's the idea of physical cloud.
Yes, and this is exactly what you are doing with CNC machine now. So you just put some model inside the machine and it will cut it out. So it's and about this example with the ants, it was particularly very interesting. But in my understanding, it's not about autonomous work. It's about some level of cognition, because ants do have some reflex, and they just know that they need food, they have to go to sleep to yes. and this is what this is not actually what is a must for autonomous robots, because you just want some work that to do by you for you by a robot. Okay, so let's start it from Booter. You know, when it comes to real-time demonstration, it never works. So let's cross fingers.
Oh, that's so many times.
Yeah, it moved. So it's a patent robot that we created. It's actually the second version of the robot, and it has two clips on its head. You can try it during the break. So, and let me. Right. So, do anyone of you had a chance to visit this similar meetup in June this year? Yeah? Oh, great. So what we presented there, I'm missing the clicker. Have you got it?
It's here.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I feel much more confident when I have it in my So we presented a robot which looked 100% exactly like it. It seems to me that even the place for pancakes were exactly the same. And what it did, it serves pancakes for meetups, but it used a line and it followed a line. It had some sensors and it followed the pre-designed path. It's similar that this is a similar way like robots on Alibaba warehouses move and some robots on Amazon warehouses. So the idea was pretty much like that. But we used STM32 microcontroller, which is low power consumable and low computational efficient. And yeah.
Sorry, which one did you use?
So in the previous version, it was STM32 F407. And as Valentin said, all the robots need artificial intelligence, algorithms like machine learning, computer vision, and others. So we decided to make a stack and use some algorithm with this robot. So if you want to see how this algorithm works, please come in the next June, and you will be able to see. Yeah.
So, did you guys actually work running on the STM microcontroller?
So in the previous version, yes, we used only STM32, and everything was done there.
Awesome.
This time we decided that we will have to. Oh, this is a pretty nice slide.
We can skip it back.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So. We are using mechanical wheels with our robot, and since it is a retail robot, one of the reasons why we did use them is because you are limited in space when you are using this kind of robots, and mechanical wheels allow to move in any direction, 330 degrees, without making a turn. So it's well, I think it's a very useful product. Yes.
Are there constraints on the weight limit on those, or is it not an issue?
Yes, there is some constraint on the weight, but it depends really on the type of the wheel. So I saw a video with a bus going on the street having this type of the wheels, and they used in warehouses where you have to carry big boxes filled with something. And recently I saw some video from DJI, and they're using some exactly this type of wheels for the military robots. So it's yeah. And but apart from the hardware, we were thinking about the software, because AI is always about the software. So we wanted to use some robotic framework which would help us to implement the algorithm. As you know, there are lots of them. Some of them are more useful, some of them are less. And after doing some small research, we decided to go with ROS. And ROS, just a small historical retrospective, it was founded in 2008 by a few professors from Stanford, which were just bored by rewriting the algorithm time and again. So they decided to do some open source thing that will help their PhD students to move faster with their tests. And from the time we have lots of versions. This picture is actually 1 year old, because the latest version of ROS is melodic, and you can see that its ROS can be applied to lots of different types of robots, like surgical robots, space robots, and many others. And if you look at some statistics, the community is constantly growing. The forks and stars at the GitHub repositories of different packages is also pretty big. And this one is the usage of this is really usage of ROS by different countries, and you can see that US, China, and Japan are on with ROS. So I believe we can call it some kind of standard for these days in robotics. More or less, as you all know, approximately 2 weeks ago, Amazon proposed a service which is called RoboMaker, and now you can use ROS on Amazon Cloud. This is not only as good because you can share some computational, heavy computational part of your software with Amazon, but you can also use the infrastructure and combine your project with the infrastructure, with where the software architecture approaches are very well known. I guess you all know what is ROS, so because I should skip a few more slides. So topics, the parts of ROS projects are a node which communicates to a master, and we have a debugging tool you can use both of them as the design. This is a tree of our robot actually, and so this is the printer. It has a LiDAR and it has 4 mechanical wheels for the sensors. And this is all list of the sensors. Besides LiDAR and weight, it has 2 lines of ultrasonic sensors to be sure that nobody and nothing can be hit during the demo. It has also IMU and encoders for odometry. It has battery level readings and it has a thermal power. So we still and we what we did, we created a model of the robot in Austin. You can see it on the slide with all the sensors, all the range sensors. So what does ROS give you is flexibility to create and design and to test your design of the robot that you are working with. Now, when you want to test, when you work with the robot, it's always very expensive hardware, and you definitely don't want it to be hit by the wall during the first test run. So to test the algorithm, we created a 3D model of the environment. No cakes on the table such as this time, but and we can just do some tests with the robot running all over the area and be sure that everything will be fine. So, and as I said in the previous version, we used STM32 microcontroller. We are going with this type of microcontroller also, but now we switched to H series, which is more powerful. We use for now we use Raspberry as onboard computer, and we for all the decisions all the decisions are made on that lab. So this is, the communication is pretty much custom as it is done in ROS. Master is on the laptop, and we using Wi-Fi, and for now we're using ROS serial via UART for communication of STM32 and Raspberry. But we reached almost 1 megabit speed, so it's pretty much enough for now. But of course, using the Ethernet is much more reasonable for if you have lots of sensor readings that you have to pass to the upper levels. Another reason to use ROS is lots of open algorithms that you can use as a third-party tool. So if you want some quick prototype, you can just try to adopt some of the algorithm for your project, and you just have to tune the parameters, which is not a very easy thing also. And this is the slide with general idea of the navigation stack. We use some SLAM algorithm like ANCL together with odometry readings. Then you have a map because for ANCL you do have to have a map for localization. and you have some other sensors. Now you have global path planner for making the path of the robot in the environment, and some local planners to avoid obstacles. And so this is actually the base of the robot, which has all the commands from the navigation step. And another good thing is that you can see a robot in the real environment and in the simulation, and you can compare whether they behave similarly or not. Because when you deal with hardware project, you can have a bug because of like a software bug or some component of the PCB died, or even some wire in your robot is broken. And to debug is one of the most challenging part of the robotic project. So if you can have a robot in the simulation and in the real life, if you compare whether they behave similarly, it's much more easier for the developer to deal with that. And you can see that you have a control manager that sends similar commands to the real robot and to a robot which is simulated in some simulator. Currently it's Gazebo, which is a common simulator with ROS, but it's not the best one. When we are talking about booter in retail, actually we can use it for many purposes. It can identify goods on shelves if we place a camera on top of it, which is not currently the case. It can guide customers through the store to help them find some goods. It can fetch some goods like cookies, and can verify the stocks if it was supplied with necessary sensors. The future plans, while we want to implement, as I said, algorithms like computer vision, and we did a big step from simple STM32 till now. We also are thinking about using it with some VR headsets. For instance, for some different tools or something like that. And of course, it's like a robotic arm, which you can is a multifunctional robot that the head can be easily removed. You can place a robotic arm on top of the robot, and so it can guide you to another floor with the elevator. And some references which you don't surely need. And well, I believe that we still have a few years that we should not be afraid of them yet. So if you have any questions, you can ask now, and if not, I can show you the demonstration of booter moving in ROS.
Next time we hope booter will have a robo arm. We still do not decide where to stick it, so this is like open questions. So whoever can suggest is the best place for us to stick the hand is only like changing the ergonomics. Hopefully we can have the suggestions. I can hold it probably on his hand.
you can see that the environment is not as perfectly designed as it would be expected, because the robot is here, and in the real life the robot is and in the real life the robot is situated from the outside of the wall, but still we can try to.
So did it discover the environment, or you're telling it? Has it discovered the environment, or you're?
Yeah, so it discovers the environment, but so the 3D environment was given to it, and it can create a map of the environment using the sensors, and then it can navigate through the environment using the navigation stack that we use. So we use Gmarket for algorithm for mapping the area, and then MCL for localization, and some standard algorithms also for going around. And what is a very nice part here? One thing which is very hard when you are working with the real robot is debugging the PCB part, because you can easily debug the software part, which is written, well, maybe not so easily, but you can do it. And if you are debugging the PCB, it's really very challenging. So one approach is to stream the data that you want to verify from the PCB to ROS, and actually you have to see the data on the screens there, but something went wrong. I guess it won't. Okay, maybe he's trying to do it. What we did when we used some low-level control algorithms to control the motion, the rotation of the motor. So we created a model of the motor in MATLAB. We used a controller, a feedback controller to control the speed. We got some plot in the MATLAB, but now we have to implement it in the real hardware. So here is the thing, here is the place where you can verify whether the trajectory of the speed of your of the shaft of your motor is the same as you expect when you do things when you design. That's pretty much it about the robot. Yes.
So in terms of the sensors, how many of those did you have to implement your own drivers and controllers, if they already had ROS drivers?
We use ROS drivers for the LiDAR, and all other sensors are connected to PCB. To PCB, so we had to write the software to read from the sensors. Then the sensors can be the data can be streamed to ROS, And you can use, if you are talking about the simulation of the robot, you can use some standard plugins to simulate the behavior of the sensor. But when it comes to a real robot, it's always a real sensor that you read the data from it, because you connect to. Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you go about designing your sort of electronics architecture? I see you guys have the Raspberry Pi talking about you want this STM microcontroller that sort of handles the sensors. I guess how do you like come up with that architecture? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, we wanted to have a real-time control over the motors and the readings from the sensors. Therefore, we used STM32 microcontroller, and now we had different ways to go because we had to get the data from STM32. One possible way was to put some laptop inside the robot or some computer like Intel Nuke or something like that. And maybe we will do it in the future, but for now, Raspberry Pi is powerful enough, and it's power efficient enough, and it's small enough, so we go with this decision. And now heavy computations are performed on Raspberry because all data is streamed to the lab. Another reason why we need something inside, because we didn't want to connect as a LiDAR to STM32 because the data flow might be too much for the microcontroller. And when we actually were at the conference, Iris, which mentioned, some robots had 3 laptops on board besides the real-time microcontroller. So it's pretty common practice. Yeah.
Have you taken this out to any retailers and tried to demo it in the field, or talk to them about some of the applications for it?
Well, I guess Butcher is not grown enough to be presented to some retailers, but in future, I believe definitely.
Yeah, the idea, I can pick up from here, the idea for Butcher, and it didn't change from the last meetup, is that we wanted to understand for ourselves, like how much efforts, investment, and into like hardware, software, will it take us to get like to develop this like for us as a practice, right, as a company. And it demonstrated that like pretty small company, like how many people like in your team were working there?
It was like majority of time it was 2, and like a month ago we got 3, and 2 weeks ago we got the 4th month.
So yeah, like 2 to 3 people like work on it like for like not full time. It's just one of the project guys we're working on, and we like with the pretty small budget like. Like in private conversation we can explain like, but it was small budget, small team who were able to identify it. Like our journey now is to research all these pieces and to understand like to which point how deeply we want to get into the robotics, like in terms of hardware, for instance. Do we want to build our own PCBs like we did here, or do we want to order them like existing ones, right? And we want to, like, you know what, like to be experts in this area in these terms, and then after that, like we will be able to demonstrate it to the real retailers. And like the next steps, as we mentioned, is RoboHands. This is a big piece. We want to research it as well. We never did it before, right? So this is the next step. And once we do this exercise, then we will definitely be able to come up with the ideas.
Yes.
So do you plan to present it to retailers, or is it just kind of
Absolutely,
like a side
yeah,
project?
that's the plan. Like we have, like in SoftServe, we already have like more than 20 different retail companies, because our customers, like big and small, right? We have them, we have a trust with them with developing the software, right? They are ready to hear us. We just don't want to like use the wrong timing when the router is not as impressive as it could be, right? So, but once we research all of these things, including rubber hands, we will be able to come up with them and say, listen, okay guys, do you want us to work on the R&D project for you specifically? And that's the plan for us.
One of the truths that we found with robotics is the moment you present something, their expectations of what you
Exactly.
do is so much out of line with the actual capabilities of where robotics today is as an industry, that they're like, oh, can it do this? You're like, no. Like, what aspect, what gave you that idea? Our robot's like 6 inches tall, like, can it make beds? We're like, what? It happens all the time. So we really have something, a good story to front with.
Right, so we still work on this story. Yeah, like I'm sure there are some case studies we can resolve like right now, right? We don't want to be in a very hurry, just simply because you're absolutely right. The moment you show it, you set the expectation, and we all know changing expectation later is harder than like waiting for the a little bit like a couple months more to set the right expectation again. Okay. Any more questions before we grab some beer wine? No? Okay. Then let's.
And we also have a QR code if you want to pull out your phones. We have a quick survey of the event. We're going to play some music while you're doing it. It's a survey for a $50 gift card. So we want your feedback. So we'll pull that up on the slide deck. You just take a look. Should be the last slide.
Oh yeah, it's the last slide. You want to can scroll again.
Thank you.
Just shows the